Presently in Path of Exile, each character class can ascend to a set of 3 unique ascendancies, with the exception of the Scion, who can mix and match various ascendancy classes in her single ascendancy tree. For the uninitiated, these ascendancies drastically change the way a character in Path of Exile plays, providing brand new, powerful options to build around on top of the regular, gargantuan passive skill tree. Between Path of Exile's 7 character classes, there are 19 ascendancies that may be accessed by completing the Lord's Labyrinth, a challenging gauntlet of traps, monsters, and an evolving 3-phase boss, Emperor Azaro. The earliest you can ascend in Path of Exile 1 is its 3rd act of 10. Afterward, characters can further ascend by completing higher levels of the lab, enchanting their boots, gauntlets, and helmets in the process. Path of Exile 2, the most substantial update to Path of Exile in history, will bring 19 more of these build-defining character options to the game, doubling the monumental archetypes available. However, we only know about 7 of them, the ones teased to the community during Path of Exile 2's initial showcase in November 2019 at ExileCon 2019. Since then, even during the second and only other update on Path of Exile 2 in April 2021, we heard nothing about other new ascendancies. For those who do not remember, weren't a part of the PoE community back in 2019, or would like a gentle and warm recap before ExileCon 2023 at the end of July, here's what we do know about the new ascendancies arriving in Path of Exile 2. Truly, on a scale of a feral ape to Katava, god of hunger, we know about a Mudflats Roa. Of course, fellow exile, that's more than enough to discuss and get excited about. Here's what we know GGG is aiming for with Ascendancy classes in Path of Exile 2. They are powerful, new, build-defining ways to construct characters for every kind of PoE player imaginable. Think changing bows into melee weapons. They boast more choices, original skills, and out-of-this-world abilities than PoE 1 Ascendancies. Imagine transforming into a werecat when no other class can. Their passives and skills will scale with character level, as opposed to remaining static. Ponder bonuses consistently rising the closer you climb to level 100. The default character models may be altered depending on the chosen ascendancy. Conjure an image of the witch's scrawny face, arms, and legs swirling with necromantic mist as the Defiler. And lastly, they are obtained from playing Path of Exile 2's campaign at least once, and will not be earnable from the Lord's Labyrinth as they are in PoE 1. Consider never running the Labyrinth again. Now, which 7 Ascendancy classes do we have knowledge of? Of the 7 Ascendancies we do know about, 3 of them are for the Ranger. Consequently, we know the skeleton of how the Ranger will be expanded in PoE 2. First up, the Ranger may ascend into the Beastmaster, which stands out among other potential ascendancies and is partially tied to PoE 2's addition of shapeshifting. According to GGG, it grants exclusive access to the werecat shapeshifting skill, accompanied by a substantial critical strike bonus. Additionally, the Beastmaster will allow seamless transitioning between werewolf, werebear, werecat, human, and any other forms while retaining any buffs from previous forms. Other shapeshifting builds won't retain extra bonuses from prior forms at all. For example, this remarkable Ascendancy node will allow a character to retain the critical strike buffs from the werecat form to the werewolf form, then the werewolf form's supposed damage bonuses will boost its human form that it transitions into. This idea comes from the Wild Shape node, which will also boost shapeshift buffs by 100%. The Beastmaster will also offer the fascinating advantage of a specialized companion cat minion that will provide specific buffs tailored to your character's preferences via the Ally of the Wild node. As it stands, we know of the Lion minion, the Panther minion, and the Cheetah minion. The Lion will be a bulky force of brute strength, while the Panther and Cheetah will focus on stealthy, quick gameplay, and high speeds respectively. From the showcased Ascendancy tree, we'll need to pick one of the 3 and won't be able to have multiple summoned at once. Undoubtedly, the Beastmaster Ascendancy will embody the essence of any shapeshifting, summoner, or classic D&D-esque ranger archetypes people out there are yearning for. Already one new Ascendancy in, you can see the monumental shift in design from PoE 1's Ascendancies. With PoE 2, GGG is focusing on granting powerful new skills and even more choices on the Ascendancy trees, as opposed to merely single-choice, build-defining passive changes. They're also eager to utilize all the new tech they've developed to broaden the horizons of old gameplay systems, like weapons. We'll need to see if this is a great design decision or a troubling choice for a game like Path of Exile. Locking massive, fundamental changes and special skills behind an Ascendancy or a specific Ascendancy node could greatly inhibit the freedom of customization crucial to Path of Exile's success and identity. The next announced Ascendancy, also for the Ranger, is the Survivalist, the more advanced of the 3 new Ranger Ascendancies. Its skill tree is equally as game-changing as the Beastmaster. Single nodes will add entire skill gems to your weapon, which will likely scale with your character level, like Division, which grants multiple greater projectiles version of a skill, and a barrage version of the same skill, allowing both a single target and an AoE attack with a single skill gem. Other nodes grant massive spell dodge chance via a new skill, Spell Avoidance, something that will likely interact with the relatively recently introduced spell suppression mechanic. This will be a toggleable ability. Another node, Multiplication, causes the number of projectiles you will release to grow every second you don't loose them, allowing you to build up a massive hit while you dodge boss attacks or move to another pack. Combined with a support skill like Barrage, this could be a huge spike in damage. GGG let us know the Survivalist tree will be split down the middle. One side will be focused on defenses like Spell Avoidance, the other centered around offensive nodes like Multiplication and Division. It will be extremely versatile. Rounding out the set-in-stone Ranger Ascendancies is the Tactician, a kit dedicated to tactical strikes, supercharged totems, and heavily controlling enemies of all shapes and sizes. Though not confirmed, it's likely also an excellent choice for the crossbow item class, which will also arrive with Path of Exile 2. The crowd-shocking, infamous node on the Tactician's tree is Close Combat Specialist, which changes the bow item class into a pseudo-melee weapon, allowing the use of melee sword and axe skill and support gems with bows. Already fascinating, the node will also ensure the Tactician's animations are updated and smooth while attacking in melee with a bow. Another node, Death from Above, will allow us to socket any arrow rain type skill into the new Arrow Flare meta skill. The next node in this particular branch allows us to add yet another arrow rain skill into this meta skill. This further cements the Tactician as a ranged battlefield commander-like Ascendancy. The final node we'll look at, Siegebreaker, ensures your last summoned totem is supercharged, causing it to gain 100% more damage, 100% more attack speed, and take 50% less damage. This node alone cements the Tactician as a master of ranged totem build crafting. The final 4 new Ascendancy classes are mostly shrouded in mystery. GGG decided to tease only the 3 Ranger Ascendancies in great detail, while the next 4 were in the very early stages of development in November 2019, and were thus subject to sweeping alterations. However, I wouldn't be surprised if even the Ranger Ascendancies changed greatly on PoE 2's release. Back to the final 4 though. We know the names and gists of 2 Marauder and 2 Witch Ascendancies, the Reaver, the Ancestor, the Defiler, and the Arcanist. The Reaver will be a Marauder Ascendancy centered on buffing and bolstering allies as well as standing strong against any titanic tide of foes. Surely this specialization will be powerful in party play, but it's possible the Reaver will also excel with minion-based builds. GGG also has the opportunity to accomplish something amazing here as well, by introducing a brand new variety of minion. We have zombies, specters, and skeletons, golems and spiders. We even have a towering reaper. The Reaver could provide us with a summoned exile, mercenary, or bandit minion. Thanks to the far more in-depth Ranger Ascendancy reveals, we know GGG is unafraid of granting Ascendancies their own skills. The Reaver could give Marauders these unique variety of minion. Nodes on the Ascendancy tree might let us alter the Reaver minion behavior, change their weapons, or even shift the typical army of Reaver minions into a giant effigy of a Kurui god like Tukohama. The Reaver could be a brand new archetype in PoE, a commander of a human, not an undead, horde, armed with weapons of endless variety and passive customization. Dissimilar to the Reaver, the Ancestor will be a Marauder Ascendancy revolving around manifesting ancestral spirits and commanding them to barrel through endless hordes of foes. From what we've seen in its art, a brief snippet from GGG, and other ancestral abilities and skills in PoE, this Ascendancy will likely buff the strength of our character through spiritual powers. While the Ancestor shall surely empower these existing skills like Ancestral Cry, Ancestral Call, and Totems, GGG has likely conjured up a variety of new ways to bring back the ancestors of the Kurui to annihilate the current denizens of Rayclast. Next up, the Defiler will be a Witch Ascendancy innately tied to draining the life and willpower of enemies to embolden the might of the Defiler herself. All this is judged entirely from the artwork, as GGG only dropped a piece of concept art and its name. A separate niche from the Necromancer, the Defiler seems like it might be a life-draining and/or corpse-manipulating archetype that won't empower minions. Instead, it will repurpose stolen life force and use that force to grow their own strength. While many of the new Ascendancies will certainly break many pre-established rules in PoE, the Defiler could focus on throwing around enemy corpses, converting damage types in wild, unexpected ways, or, and this would be unique, entering dead enemy corpses and inhabiting them, and therefore defiling them. We'll find out what GGG's cooking up very soon. To close out the confirmed new Ascendancies in PoE 2, the Arcanist will be a witch Ascendancy crackling with the might of lightning. Her entire kit will empower and reinvent various lightning skills and concepts in Path of Exile. Like the Chieftain Path of Exile 1 Ascendancy for the Marauder hones in on fire damage and skills, we're likely to see some absolutely incredible possibilities for skills like Arc, Crackling Lance, Orb of Storms, Lightning Conduit, and more with the Arcanist. Aside from the lightning focus, name, and concept art, we know little else about the Arcanist. We might see some major downsides with it alongside huge positives on the Ascendancy tree nodes, such as you cannot use non-lightning skill gems, with an upside of you deal 40% more lightning damage, your lightning skill gems gain +4 levels, or your lightning damage can shock, chill, and ignite. Too strong? Too weak? Perhaps, but it's a definite possibility with the Arcanist. Since the introduction of Ascendancy classes in Path of Exile 2.2.0 and the concept of PoE 2 was born, GGG knew they needed to compile a wild variety of exciting and epic ideas for novel archetypes in PoE 2. Judging from the 3 detailed and revealed concepts, they are hitting the mark. In the nearly 4 years since the last PoE 2 Ascendancy update, there has likely been numerous doses of iteration and innovation on those 3 and the 16 others. During ExileCon 2023, we're sure to learn much more about the new Ascendancies arriving in PoE 2, as well as how we will earn them. Previously, GGG stated we wouldn't earn them via the Labyrinth, but by a new system in the PoE 2 campaign. I've speculated it could be the Forbidden Sanctum, but GGG remains tight-lipped on the idea. Regardless, alongside the 19 Ascendancy classes already available from Path of Exile 1, these newly introduced 19 Ascendancies will 100% bring a plethora of new playstyles, builds, and wacky interactions to PoE with PoE 2. I'll see you there. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for more Path of Exile content, give it a like, and share your totally not unhinged opinion in the comments. I'd love to see your version of the vision. Tala Moana.